Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with the Disability Policy for All. Today we have the great fortune to be talking to Kelly Israel, who is a policy analyst at the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. And today we'll be talking with her about electric shocks. So welcome, Kelly.
It's great to be on the show.
The first question is, who uses electric shocks and why?
Well, there's only one facility left in the United States that uses the type of electric shock we're talking about, and that's the Judge Rotenberg Center in Massachusetts. I do hope I pronounced Rotenberg right, but I've only read it. It uses an electric shock device known as a GED on its students, supposedly to stop self-injury or aggressive behavior. But in practice, the way that these electric skin shocks are used is egregious. They use the electric skin shock to discipline students for things as ridiculous as saying no, or refusing to take an order, or refusing to take off their jacket. They in no way are using these shocks for their intended purpose, and these shocks are extremely painful. People who actually use the skin shocks on themselves and could speak to tell the tale basically said it was the equivalent of 1,000 bee stings to the body at once, or an extremely powerful military taser. These things are terrible, and we should ban them with all haste.
You said egregious. You used the word egregious.
Egregious.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Egregious means awful, terrible, shouldn't happen, but is still happening.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, I understand that the Federal Drug Administration is proposing to ban these electric shocks. What does the FDA have to do with regulating these devices?
The FDA can ban any device which they feel poses and these are their specific words, substantial and unreasonable risk of illness or injury to the individuals it's used on. Now, it's not just devices. They can ban anything from drugs to food to pretty much any object that falls within their jurisdiction, but for now we're talking about devices. In order to determine whether a device is likely to harm people, they compare how likely the device is to harm people with how likely the state-of-the-art treatment for whatever it is the device is trying to treat is to harm people instead. The FDA went on a very extensive research investigation for the purposes of looking into these GEDs and electric shock devices, and what they found is, to say the least, chilling. They found that there are many, many, many more effective treatments that do not use pain and punishment to get results. They're positive behavioral interventions that are not only more effective, but much less likely to cause harm. These devices, it was found, have been known for causing burns, lacerations, skin wounds, and extreme psychological effects. The children at the Judge Rotenberg Center live in fear of the GEDs. People who have come out of the Judge Rotenberg Center have had psychological symptoms ranging from severe anxiety to post-traumatic stress disorder to depression as a result of these devices being used on them. These are unreasonable adverse effects, and really the FDA should have banned these things a long time ago.
Thank you. And just so we can clarify for the audience, FDA stands for the Food, Drug, Administration.
That's right. FDA stands for the Food and Drug Administration. They're an administrative agency that has authority over virtually anything used on a person, consumed by a person, or any medicine that we use.
Thank you. The next question is, why is the FDA taking so long to issue the new rule?
Well, rules do take something of a long time to be issued. To begin with, in order to put together the rule, you have to do an extraordinary amount of research to find out what the device does, what the adverse effects are, what the history of the usage of the device is, and whether they can ban it. So just proposing the rule in the first place can take almost a year, or at least several months. Then you've got to put the rule up for public comment, which means putting it in the Federal Register for interested stakeholders to examine the rule. A stakeholder is somebody who might have a stake in what's going on, literally. And the rule has to be up for public comment for 60 days, so that's more time taken before they can enforce the rule. And then once the comment period's over, the organization that proposed the rule, in this case the Food and Drug Administration, has to take all of the comments, look them over, and then produce a final rule, which is what actually ends up enforced. So that's part of the reason it's taking so long for the rule to get out. As for the reason this specific rule has actually been delayed by the FDA, we don't know for sure. The rule was originally supposed to end its public comment period in April, but it was delayed until July, and maybe May. We think that the Judge Rottenberg Center, who has an extensive and litigious history of opposing anything that would ban the electric shock devices, is putting up quite an effort to stop the rule from going forward.
What does use a Langit history? What does that mean?
Litigious history.
Yes.
It means that basically the Judge Rottenberg Center is infamous for aggressive, nasty tactics to stop any change being made to their programming. They put up a lot of lawsuits. They contest any effort of the Food and Drug Administration in the past to ban these devices, and they generally obstruct the progression of justice. We have no doubt whatsoever that they are doing this again.
Okay. Thank you. And the last question is, what can our audience do to help?
Well, our audience can do a lot of things. For one thing, the public comment period is still open. Specifically, it's open until July 25th, 2016. Anyone in the audience who can submit one of these comments, which is basic, even if all it says is, I oppose the use of these devices, the FDA should ban them right away, even if you can just say that, it would definitely help the FDA enforce and put this law forward. Secondly, any people with disabilities, providers, or family members should call the Food and Drug Administration about these electric shock devices and say, these devices are awful, they should be banned, please get rid of them. The more people the FDA hears from about the egregious human rights violations that are going on here, the better. Also, social media. Anybody in the audience, anyone at all, who can draw attention to the cruel torture going on at the JRC should definitely do so. Make sure that our legislators and the decision makers at the FDA know about this, know that people are getting electrocuted brutally at this place, that people are basically being tortured at this place. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture, which is an international body, condemned these things roundly. And most of all, unite and make your voices heard to ensure that nobody has to suffer this horrific abuse again.
Thank you. I also realize that this is the comment period will be over on the day before the 26th anniversary of the American Disability Act. And I know that this isn't totally about rights. Well, it is about standing up for our rights. So I think to celebrate the ADA, people should do a comment period.
I definitely agree. This is pretty close to the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was an act that said that people with disabilities have the right to not be discriminated against, have the right to not be segregated, have the right to participate in society equally. In no conceivable description of equality can the Judge Rottenberg Center and these electric shock devices exist. Children and adults with disabilities, the residents, are being brutalized here in the name of therapy instead of getting the help they need. I think that this would be a great way to show that we've come a long way since these practices were everywhere, to show that we won't stand to be treated like this anymore. We deserve equal rights.
Thank you. If you have any questions about this or any other, if you have any questions about this issue or any other policy issues, please go to the AUCG webpage and look for this week's In Brief. And if you have any questions or comments about this week's Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Happy 26th anniversary, and thanks again, Kelly.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show.
Bye.